training for the Regional Leadership Conference province meetings. I wanted to go through the agenda with you, facilitator script, just to help get you familiar and to point out some important things for you to know in your CAPA trainer role. As for now, you've already received from me an email that lets you know who you will be partnering with, CAPA Trainer A and CAPA Trainer B, for each of your regional leadership conferences. Really, you've each been assigned a CAPA Trainer A or a CAPA Trainer B, but you can change that around if one person has a preference for one section over the other. You also can trade sections between CAPA Trainer A and CAPA Trainer B. It's really up to you. We've just divided it that way to make it a fairly even responsibility load. So just work that out with the person that you will be facilitating with. So just to get started, we're going to walk through the facilitator script and just help you become familiar with it. You can see on Friday, you will be arriving. Registration and check-in will be between 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock p.m. When you arrive at the airport, you're to follow the instructions that are listed on our website. Some of the Regional Leadership Conferences sites have their own hotel shuttles. Some of them you might be responsible for your own private transportation via taxi or private shuttle. Just make sure to read what is on the website so that you follow those directions. Ideally, we would like all of our CAPA trainers to be there by 5 o'clock p.m. Just that gives you enough time to do the things that you need to do before you start that evening. So dinner will start at 7 o'clock p.m. And that is Aspire to Celebrate Sisterhood. And we start off with introductions. CAPA Trainer A starts us off and will also introduce CAPA Trainer B, and then also the fraternity rep, asking them to stand and be recognized. You're going to be giving a general overview of the weekend. The idea with all of this is to make it fun and to get them excited about the weekend. We're going to be doing, again, some brief introductions. You're going to facilitate some introductions with them there at the table. Give them a few minutes to greet one another. This is a spot here after that you're going to be introducing the fraternity rep. She's going to stand and just say what role she serves in and that she's excited to be there for the weekend. And then CAPA Trainer B is going to do sort of a general introduction, get people standing, getting onto their feet, and you're going to ask them one by one if they hold a certain position to please stand. So starting off with the Fraternity Council, please stand, then have them sit. Then Foundation Board of Trustees, then you can have them stand and then sit. Regional Directors, Province Directors, CAPA Trainers, Foundation, Fraternity Committee members, CCS, Nominating Chairman. And for the Nominating Chairman, this is actually very important. You're going to want to ask the Nominating Chairman for each particular province that is represented at that regional meeting to please stand and make sure that people can see them and note who they are. So if they do need to give them information as the Nominating Chairman, they will know who that they are. Resolutions Committee to please stand. Headquarters, Regional Leadership Conference, if it's their first time attending, please stand. Chapter Officer, Alumni Association Board, and so forth. So it goes all the way to the end. If you are a legacy, please stand. And finally, if you love Kappa Kappa Gamma, please stand. Hopefully everybody is on their feet by that time, and that is when you're going to instruct them to sing the Kappa Blessing. Really important to note, for Friday night, we do not have AV. So they will be, there's not any slides or any AV that will be happening for this Friday evening dinner. Dinner is 45 minutes, served buffet style. Allison Talcott is our meeting planner and will be at every regional meeting. She's the person that you just need to touch base with before each meal to make sure we are ready to go and to make sure that program-wise she's ready for you to start. After dinner, you're going to begin the large group session, Connecting with Your Sisters, and that begins at 8 o'clock p.m. And this is when you're going to be doing some get-to-know-you activities. Prior to dinner, there's been bags of candy that have been placed on the table. There are 15 bags of candy in each bag. You're going to instruct them to pass the bag and to take one piece of candy. Now, if somebody happened to have already opened up the bag of candy and had some candy, that's fine. You just need to ask them to remember what type of candy they took. Again, remember, we do not have AV. So what you're going to have to do is let them pick the candy first, have them hold it in their hand, and then let them know that they're going to be answering questions based on which candy they chose. And then you're going to read the questions out loud, asking them to remember which question that they're going to answer. So for Jolly Ranchers, who is one of the funniest people you know, Bit of Honey, what is your favorite sweet treat, and so forth. So that's the first one. You're going to give them time to do that. The next activity then is a perfect vacation. You're going to tell them that they're going to move around the room and divide into new groups based on the vacation package that they've chosen. And because they're going on vacation, they need to pack all of their personal belongings with them and move when you say go. So this is just because we're getting them up and moving and they won't be going back to their original seat. So there are 4 corners of the room, and those are going to be the different vacation packages. Corner A is a visit to New York City with shopping, seeing the sights, etc. Corner B, a warm beach, palm trees with crystal clear blue water. Corner C, a cruise to Alaska. Corner D, a visit to Italy with visits to museums. So at the conclusion of describing the vacation packages, you're going to let them know that they may now move. Give them 1 or 2 minutes to move to their desired vacation corner. And then from that, ask them to divide into small groups of 10 to 12 people within that large group. So now that they're there, you're going to have them play a game called Never Have I Ever. This game, and you're going to want to read the instructions with this. Basically, everybody sits in a circle and holds up all 10 fingers. They're going to take turns saying things that they have never done. So for example, I'm going to hold up 10 fingers and I'm going to say, never have I ever jumped out of an airplane. If you, sitting in the circle with me, have jumped out of an airplane before, then you need to put down one of the fingers in your hand. If you have not jumped out of an airplane, you get to keep your fingers up. So that play continues on all the way through everybody in the circle until they've dropped all 10 fingers, or, and then that person is out, or you're going to set a time limit for this activity. You know, because it could take a while to go through all 10 fingers. You can also, so you can set a time limit. You can also say that they will go all the way around the circle with everybody having one turn, and the person at the end with the most fingers still up remaining is the winner, which is probably the fairest and the easiest way to facilitate the game and then keep the play moving. From their vacation package groups, then you're going to ask them now to separate into groups of alumni and undergraduate members. You're going to give them 2 minutes to find 8 to 10 alumni and undergraduate women in which to form a small discussion group. As soon as they have that 8 to 10 members, they're going to circle up and raise their hands high to be the first group to finish. So you give them 2 minutes to hurry and do that. And then you ask them to pick one representative to come up to the front and pick up their undergraduate or alumna discussion card. So if they're the undergraduate group, they get that card. If they're alumna group, then they're going to get that discussion card. So you're going to have them do that, and then they're going to have the questions. You're going to ask one person in each group to record the ideas that are shared on the bolded question items. And that at 9:30 p.m., you and the other CAPA trainer will be coming around to collect these cards. Just a note, Allison Talcott will have all of the program supplies. It's going to be really important on Friday evening that you all go to Allison and collect all of the large group and the small group sessions that you will be facilitating, that you will collect your own supplies and materials so that she doesn't have to keep that the rest of the time. So your groups are going to meet. They're going to be talking about their discussions, and you might want to preface this with them and say, you know, the idea here is for idea sharing and getting to know one another. If you happen to go down the road and get off topic with some of these, but you're still learning and sharing from one another, That's the whole goal with this activity. So we don't mind so much that they stay on these questions exactly. We do care, however, that we get answers back to those bolded questions you can see there on the screen. And then finally at 9:30, you're going to do a brief wrap-up, just getting onto the mic and saying thanking them for their participation, and then reminding the nominating committee or resolutions committee that they are meeting at 9:30 in the pre-function space, and reminding everyone that you'll see them tomorrow at the 7:45 breakfast, where they're going to learn more about the Kappa Kappa Gamma Foundation. Your evening is over at that point. We are asking Kappa Trainer A and Kappa Trainer B to each take either the undergraduate or the alumni discussion cards and compile those answers. So you can either do it that evening or you can wait and do it when you return back home from the event. The nominations committee and the resolutions committee will be meeting, and then bedtime. Next, we move on to Saturday. Saturday morning at 7:45 a.m. is breakfast in the dining room. And this is with the Kappa Kappa Gamma Foundation, learning all about the foundation and what the foundation does. So that is all the way here. Just so you know, our leadership consultant that will be attending, each leadership consultant will be attending one of the regional meetings, and they will be in charge of the AV and running that. So at the end of breakfast, then everyone will be moving to the large group session, Be Courageous, which is in the large group meeting space, and that begins at 9 o'clock a.m. And we begin that with the fraternity address from the fraternity rep. That script is not currently included yet, but is being written by Beth Black. After the fraternity address, you'll be moving into following in the steps of women who came before us. And this is a 45-minute large group session facilitated by Kappa Trainer A. I'm very excited about this session. The foundation was very generous and has made the commitment to shipping all of the museum panels for the education to enfranchisement and all of those museum panels to each of the regional meetings. So this workshop right here is all geared around getting the participants to interact with those museum panels and really looking at history from the idea of following in the steps of women who came before us and the whole idea of courageous behaviors. So there's an introduction, and you're going to be introducing them to this whole concept of what is courage, what does it look like, how can you live your life courageously. You're going to be asking them with a partner to walk through the museum panels and explore the panel descriptions of the Kappa history and looking for examples of women in history throughout Kappa that have had acts of courage, courageous individuals in situations where you actually see a lack of courage within these panels. The participants, you'll be instructing them to use the participant booklet to write down their thoughts and ideas. And I did include that in my email to you. It's going to be really important constantly to direct them to that participant booklet and letting them know that they should be writing down their ideas in there. They will have 15 minutes to explore these panels. So hopefully the idea is that everybody is up and everybody is moving and they're exploring those exhibits. Then you're going to bring the group back and you're actually going to ask them, if you learned something new, raise your hand. Wait for them to raise their hand. Raise your hand if you read that Kappa was a part of the construction of the Panhellenic House in New York, et cetera, et cetera. Wait for them to raise their hand. Can anyone share something else new that they learned? This is a time when you can actually wait to hear some ideas from the audience. So really indicate to them you're wanting them to participate and speak then. Asking some of the pairs, tell me about some acts of courage you found, and asking for some of the pairs to share what answers they wrote down in their participant booklet. Then you're going to ask them to turn to a pair sitting to your right or left and share the name of a courageous individual you found. And then turn to the pair sitting on the other side and share the name of another courageous individual you found. And then asking, did anyone have an example in a situation where you saw a lack of courage? See if anybody can speak to that. And then actually this whole, did any of you read that only 8 state universities and a few private colleges admitted women in the 1870s, and talking about that. Then there's a reflection time, talking about psychology today and the 5 different definitions of courage. You want them to think about these 5 definitions and consider which one of them most accurately describes the way they define courage, and ask them to turn to someone sitting next to them and share that definition. Then we want them to think about a situation where they've encountered the definition of courage that they selected. And then you're going to give a couple of debrief questions there, and then ask them to jot their notes down in their participant guide. And then finally, the conclusion, asking how we as CAPAs can move forward with a directive to make a change. How can we follow in the footsteps of the founders? And then asking them as a final act to open their participant guide and write down a commitment to live their life as courageous CAPA, and then the action steps that they will take to do that. Give them a few minutes to do that, and then ask them to choose to live your life with courage. Will you be the guiding steps for the women who follow after you? So after the conclusion of that, you're going to be instructing them that they are going to be attending a series of educational sessions, and will rotate through. Draw their attention to their lanyard colors. Each person, when they register, receives a lanyard color, and which will denote which group they're in, group A, B, C, D, or E. And it's going to be in their participant booklet, actually telling them the order in which they will go. Each group will visit each educational session one time. So they will, at the end of the day, all of them will have visited the 5 different educational sessions. Here are the ones that they will move through. Aspire to be courageous, how to approach conflict and stand up for what is right. That is facilitated by CAPA Trainer A. Aspire to be connected, how to live a values-driven life. That's facilitated by CAPA Trainer B. The Aspire to be engaged, how to find good members and retain them for a lifetime, is our Fired Up facilitator. Courageous Conversations is our leadership consultant. And finally, Aspire to be forward-thinking, understanding the structural changes and future strategic goals of the fraternity, is our fraternity rep. The second educational session is at 11 o'clock. And actually, before I keep going, I do want to make a special note to say each of the workshops was written to be 50 minutes long, allowing you about 5 minutes for questions at the very end, and then 5 minutes for them to transition to the next one. You don't want to keep them longer. You want to get them going so that they're not late to their next session. So the educational session 2 goes from 11 to noon, and at noon it is lunchtime in the dining room. This is Aspire to Make the World Better Girls Academy, and will be facilitated by the Regional Director of Chapters. And we'll just scroll through that script. At the end of lunch, they will be headed to the large group session, Be Connected. This is in the large group meeting space, and this is facilitated by the CAPA trainer. All right. Introduction. Aspire to be connected. What does this mean? This whole concept of being connected. If I receive 1,000 texts a day, are they connected? Instagram photos, are they connected? You're going to talk about the impact of being connected. What does it mean for us when we are connected with others? And this social connection improves physical health. When they have a lack of it, what happens? What are the implications? You're going to be talking about fulfilling and meaningful, the idea of like we need to build real connections, not the ones just on Facebook or Instagram. We're talking about these connections on a deeper level, getting to know people, discovering commonalities and shared values. You're going to lead them through an activity called Commonalities Amoeba, and this is the idea that you have somebody approach somebody else and they need to find one thing they have in common with one another that cannot be you wouldn't know just by looking at them, and it cannot be CAPA related. Once they find one another, they grab hands and they go and find another pair. So 2 people go and find 2 people, and then those 4 people all have to find something that they have in common before they can move on. So then all 4 of them find something in common, and they go and find another group of 4, and then 8 people have to find something that they all have in common. So the same rules apply as they grow larger and larger. Their goal is to create the largest amoeba as they can within the time frame. So that would be the whole activity takes 10 minutes. So you'll need a few minutes for setup and a few minutes for debrief. So you'd give them about 7 minutes, 6 minutes to create the largest amoeba that they can. And I'm sorry, it's at the end of 5 minutes. So they have 5 minutes to create the largest amoeba. Then you're moving on to building meaningful relationships. This is where you talk about how you reflect on a close friendship that you've had in the past or have currently. What made this relationship special? Ask them to find a partner and share this information with that partner. And allow about 5 minutes for this discussion. And ask them, what were the qualities you shared about this meaningful relationship? And ask for some audience feedback and have those people speak out loud. And then you're going to be going through the 5 keys to building meaningful relationships that build connections. Same is different. You are unique. Be yourself. Don't judge. Then you're going to be talking about building a connection with people. And the idea is how to build those connections. So what you're going to do, you're going to ask them to find somebody to partner up with. They're going to be a person A and there's a person B. So for the very first time they do this, you're going to give them the following instructions, which are actually on the slide. Person A may only share information about themselves. They may not ask any questions of person B. So they are that person that only talks about themselves. Person B may only ask questions. They cannot talk about themselves at all. So you're going to give them 3 minutes to talk. Say, okay, go. When that is done, you're going to ask them to switch roles. Now person A may only ask questions. They cannot talk about themselves. And person B now may only talk about themselves and may not ask questions. So you're going to flip it. So you have, at the end of the 3 minutes, you tell them to stop. Then you're going to talk about the activity. So what did it feel like to be the person that could only talk about themselves? What did it feel like to be the person who could only ask questions? Ask for that feedback. Then finally, you're going to have them do it where it's a deliberate give and take. It's asking questions of the other person, but also sharing information and giving them 3 minutes for this conversation and asking what was different this time. How was this activity related to building a connection with people? And then finally, you're going to do talking about that emotional experience, that shared emotional, meaningful relationship. And you're going to ask people to join up in groups of 3 or 4 people and discuss effective strategies they've used for building connections with others, and allow them 5 minutes to discuss this. And then when they come back, ask them to share some of their ideas with a large group. And then finally, you're going to ask them in their participant guide to record some of those connections that I've made. Encourage them to use this page to record relationships that they make throughout the weekend. Then you'll dismiss them, and they're going to their education session 3 at 2:15 to 3:15. And then we have a break for 15 minutes, and that's hopefully going to be sort of our catch-up if we've gotten behind schedule. And then 3:30 to 4:30 is session 4, and 4:30 to 5:30 is educational session 5. At 5:30, it is the province meetings, where individual provinces will meet in smaller meeting space. You're welcome to attend. You're also welcome to take it as a time to sort of regroup after the busy day. At 7:30 p.m. is dinner, and this is the Sound of Kappa. This is being hosted by the fraternity rep, regional director of chapters, and regional director of alumni. And again, you're just going to be working with those individuals to make sure everything is all set to go. And then finally, they will close and invite people to join them for Be a Smart Cookie role-specific training, and letting them know that they can change into PJs or into their comfy shoes. I'm sorry, comfy clothes or PJs, and they can join them at the Be a Smart Cookie role-specific training. They have 30 minutes to go change, and then they should come back down to the dining room where they will be doing that role-specific training. All right. 11 o'clock p.m. hopefully is bedtime. And the next morning, we have 8:15 a.m. breakfast, and this is our RIF, Aspire to be a Literacy Leader. That is being hosted by the Regional Director of Alumni. And that's going to scroll through that. And we have the large group session that will begin at 9:30 a.m. And this is going to begin with our keynote address from Fired Up. Kappa Trainer A will be introducing them using the provided biography, which we will get to each of you before those. And the title of that is We Are in the Relationship Business, So Get Engaged. At 10:30, we have a large group session, Aspire to be Engaged, Connected, and Courageous. And this is facilitated by Kappa Trainer A. You're going to thank the keynote speaker, and is Kappa Trainer A, and Kappa Trainer B will facilitate our conclusion. Thanking everybody for joining you there for the weekend, hoping that they learned something new and discovered a new idea or two and met a new sister who they now call friend. You're going to be asking some questions at the end and asking them to visit the final page in their participant guide booklet to make their commitments. Ask them to find an accountability partner to share their commitments and their first action step, and ask them to exchange that contact information with one another to touch base in 2 weeks and find out the results of their action step. Again, just some concluding things and some thank yous. Final thank yous, ask groups to stand and be recognized. And then finally, the closing ritual, which will be run by the fraternity rep, the passing of the light closure. And then departure will happen at 11 o'clock or just shortly after. I'm not going to go through each of the Kappa Trainer A and Kappa Trainer B workshops. That's the Aspire to be Courageous, How to Approach Conflict and Stand Up for What is Right, and then also the Aspire to be Connected, How to Live a Values-Driven Life. Please read through those workshops specifically and let me know if you have any specific questions about those. All right, I do want to just briefly go through the job duties and responsibilities for Kappa Trainer A and Kappa Trainer B to make sure that you understand those and see if there's any questions. Kappa Trainer A, on Friday, you're going to be ensuring that AV is ready to go for Friday evening, which really is just the microphone, because remember, we don't have actual projector screens for that evening. You're going to be working with the meeting planner to touch base about the timing and flow for Friday dinner. At 6 o'clock p.m., you'll meet in the dining room with the leadership consultant and the fraternity reps to walk through the opening session. Again, no AV, but just walking through who's going to go where and the microphone. Kappa Trainer A is responsible for the one bag of candy on each table, along with Kappa Trainer B. You'll both be doing that. You're going to be facilitating the large group session Friday evening in the dining room, collecting cards from the Alumni Association alumni discussion groups on Friday evening, and then compiling those results from the alumni discussion cards. Saturday, you will ensure that fraternity representative is ready with the script prior to the Saturday morning large group session. And you're going to facilitate the large group session, Be Courageous, and facilitate the small group session, Aspire to be Courageous, How to Approach Conflict and Stand Up for What is Right. And actually for that workshop, you will not have any AV that you will need to be worrying about. You'll ensure that the AV is set up for the Girls Academy lunch and work with the meeting planner to touch base about the timing and flow of Saturday's lunch. And then finally on Sunday, you'll introduce and thank the Fired Up facilitators and assist with the closing large group session, Aspire to be Courageous, Connected, and Engaged. Kappa Trainer B, on Friday, you will ensure that AV is ready to go for the Friday evening with the microphone. Work with the meeting planner to touch base about the timing and flow for Friday night dinner. At 6 o'clock p.m., you will be also walking through with the fraternity rep and the LC and the other Kappa trainer just to make sure you've got the flow for that evening. You'll help out with the bags of candy on the table and facilitate the large group session on Friday evening. You'll collect the cards from the collegiate discussion groups on Friday evening and then compile those results. On Saturday, you will ensure that the foundation rep has the props for Saturday breakfast, very important. Ensure that the AV is ready to go for the Saturday breakfast and cue the foundation representative to start. You'll be facilitating the small group Aspire to be Connected, How to Live a Values-Driven Life. That one does have AV and specific slides and videos. And then you'll facilitate a large group session, Be Connected. Sunday, you ensure AV is set up for the RIF breakfast, cue the RDA to start the RIF breakfast, and help to facilitate the closing large group session. I do encourage you to look through the job descriptions and responsibilities for the other people, the other individuals that will be there, the leadership consultant, the CCS team, the fraternity rep, etc. It is important that you are familiar with those roles so that you can help to facilitate those things. So I believe we've covered the agenda and the general flow. Again, just some things to keep in mind that, this is to help people have a good sense of fun, get to know one another. When you're not facilitating, taking those time to get to know people and modeling how to build those relationships. Allison Talcott is the meeting planner, as I mentioned, at each of the regional meetings. Be sure to touch base with her, work with her closely. She will be in charge of all the logistical aspects and is the liaison to anyone at the hotel. So what I would like to ask is that as proof that you have listened to this, so that I know you listened all the way through, when you have completed listening to this recording, I would ask that you please email me with the phrase, Kappa Kappa Gamma is awesome. And that way I know that you have gotten all the way through to the end of this training session. And also when you email me, please email me any questions that you have and anything that you feel uncertain about moving forward for the regional meeting. I will be in Atlanta working both with Audrey and Linda. And of course, after that particular regional leadership conference, if there are any changes or tweaks or things that we want you to be aware of, we will let you know. I will be sending also just some things to keep in mind and be aware of. But thank you so much for listening and for being a part of this. We're very excited and look forward to getting your feedback and seeing how all of these events go. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.